And welcome back, Dad School
Hello.
Podcast. Hello. Today's
Good to see you.
podcast, Smart Summers, Soft Touch, Teaching Without Tests. Now featuring Jimmy.
That's all right. About time.
Yes. So, fellow listeners and viewers, have you ever tried to get your kid to do a math page in July? Or anything in July for that matter? Well, this is the show for you. We're going to talk about why it's so hard to motivate your kids in the summer. Maybe even why is it hard to motivate yourself? Maybe. Well, we might touch on that one. Who knows? Well, if we're motivated enough to do that.
That's
Uh,
right. It's not July yet, so we
it's
can
not July
we can
yet.
go there.
Okay, that's a good call. So what routines do your kids fall into in the summer? What kind of routines do you want them to be in the summer? And stay tuned to see what that soft touch really means at Dad School Podcast. Intros are fun, guys.
Yeah.
Welcome back. Happy to have you guys again on our show with us. Um, so, Jimmy,
Yeah.
how you doing today?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm getting going. I've had a couple sips of coffee, so we're
That's
moving
good.
along.
That's good. So,
Yeah, but
why does summer learning skills matter? Like, why can't you just take a break the whole summer and do nothing? Isn't that what summer's for?
geez, I remember summers. I loved summers growing up, but then always that first like month 3 months back at school, if I didn't do a single blessed thing all summer long.
Yep.
Oh, it was hard. The struggle was real. I had no desire, motivation to plug in with what the teacher was talking about, and just getting my brain like back up to speed. It's like a spooling process, like you gotta wait for um the download to fully engage. Um,
You're like, when they
and
add letters to math, they come back.
exactly right. Who put the alphabet in the middle of this math problem? This is not right. I don't understand. Um, well, yeah. So, I mean, that's kind of been our approach, is to keep brains engaged, and it's not necessarily the same as the rest of the school year. It's not anything at all like the rest of the school year. But we want our kids' brains to at least be engaged, so that when we do get in to our school routine back in the fall, it's not the pulling teeth experience, or just the blank stares of, this is all foreign to me. We've never talked about this ever in my life. And you're like, no, we just did 3 months ago. But yeah, so we try to keep it somewhat live and active throughout the summer.
Okay, that's good.
Not nearly as rigorous, but yeah.
Not rigorous. What kind of things do you focus on in the summertime then?
Well, it's kind of weird. Summer, we're in this weird summer phase for us right now. One of our big ones that we have all through the school year is both of our girls are in dance. They're both in dance studio, and so they have their final performance at the end of the year, which hasn't happened yet. It's finally this weekend,
Hmm.
because they have to like wait for the place that we're having it is at another local high school. We can't get in to set up for stage design and then do a whole week of dress rehearsals and all that. They have to wait until the school year ends before we get access to the auditorium.
Hmm.
So that's finally happening this weekend. But if the reason why it feels especially weird is like we just had vacation Bible school last week at our church. So it's like summer has started.
Yeah.
We've had vacation Bible school, but summer hasn't started because one of the things we use for, it's basically like our PE curriculum, is being a dance class, because they go every week, hours every week. Uh, we're still doing that. That hasn't finished. So we're in this kind of like in between phase. But once summer gets going, we still keep some light math and lots of reading. We're a book family, so we still do lots and lots of reading, which um, isn't a specific curriculum, but man, it's learning. We still do a lot of that.
Okay. Yeah, I remember growing up. my parents, I don't know if it was like one really bad summer and then like the next school year was terrible and I like almost didn't make it out of that grade. I don't know what the cause of this was, but I remember one summer my dad had the idea of the half hour of power. And it's something that it was like a big, I don't say a presentation, but it was a big thing all of a sudden out of nowhere. So there was something that triggered it. I was too young to probably remember what it was. Probably me failing some class, some way, shape, or form. Um,
I mean, it sounds like an episode on a televangelist TV
yeah,
station.
or MTV or something back in the day.
Oh yeah, there you go. Yeah.
But I remember it was they had like those books you find in the store, like the coloring books, but these were like the math problem quiz books where you had like the new page math every single day. So I had that, and then I had like usually my mom was a manager at a library growing up, like through my entire childhood and most of my adult life actually. She ran several different libraries in this area, and she always had books at our house, and reading was expected, all right, and I enjoyed reading later on in life, and even now I enjoy listening to audio books, digital ones. um, but early on I had a hard time picking up a book and reading it. So part of half hour power was you had to read so many minutes in a book, and we usually were enrolled in the summer reading program for the local library and whatnot. You had to read so many minutes each day in a book. You had to do your worksheets from this other book, and then my dad would have a skills based something to help teach us something and keep us active. And I'm gonna, as always, I'm gonna leave a little fish hook for later on in the podcast, and I'll bring that up again later. But it was called Half Hour Power, and we couldn't do anything else, no TV, nothing else until Half Hour Power was done. So that's what we did as and I was growing up. I'm fighting with myself internally to do the same thing with my kids. Like I want to do the same thing with my kids, but a lot of factors like motivation, schedule, and just general lots of work to actually set up and do it. I haven't done it yet with my kids, so it's I kicked it off a while ago, like a year ago. I had a series with my kids that I started called "You Should Know This," and it was basically me creating different tests and material for them. I think I did a lawnmower test. So I had a picture of a lawnmower, all the parts broken out, and they had to label it and learn about the lawnmower parts and what they were. And they had to do a test with it. And they hated it. They absolutely hated it. I think I
So that
had
sounds
nuts
like a
and
punishment.
yeah, that's basically how they took it. I was like, I thought it was really great material, but they were like, "Why are you doing this to us, Dad?" I think I had nuts and bolts ones where like explains what a screw is and like a bolt and a washer and when you use each one, a nail. I can't
I
remember if
could
I gave
use
that
that
to her or
class.
not. Yeah, I'll make it for you and I'll give it to you.
Thank
But
you.
I think I have
That's
that
great.
class made. I want to make another one that's like basic electricity. I want to make another one that's like basic small engine, how engine works. Just things that you should know. You should know this. And the idea
Yeah.
is that my kids would go into life with a general knowledge of something, at least, not just like they're not supposed to be experts at it. But if someone says, "Oh man, my lawnmower is not starting," they can think in their heads, "Oh, well, you need a spark plug, you need gas, you need oxygen, these things you need to make this work." They should know that, in
Mhm.
my opinion.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
I like that.
that's
That's good.
that's what I want to do. What we're actually doing, my wife has a well-structured plan. She's continuing our math throughout the year with our kids. She's doing Latin with them. So she's continuing certain subjects with them in this structured design. And that's what our kids are used to. They have a lot of screen time right now and a lot of downtime. So I will probably still implement my plans of you should know this materials, and they're gonna hate it, but we're gonna see what happens. I actually bought a book on Amazon last night, and it's gonna arrive today. It's a book I want all my kids to read, except for my youngest because he can't really read yet. But it's the book Bridge to Terabithia. You ever read that?
Heard of it. Yeah, never read it, but I heard of it.
It's one of the few books that I read and I could not get through without crying. growing up. It was an emotional roller coaster. I loved the book. Movie wasn't bad. It wasn't great, but it wasn't bad. But my kids are going to read that book, and I'm going to figure out some kind of book report for them to do as well. Something schooly to make them do.
Yeah.
But we're going to talk about that actually. So Jimmy, what do you? I've been yapping away here. What are things that you guys do in your house keep learning going through the summer?
We also, well, for us, kind of that key is staying engaged, just engagement, and not like, okay, it's summer, you can just choose whatever you want to do. If it's just watching TV all day long, you can do that. That's okay, blah, 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 whatever. Like that's not how things function for us. We just desire engagement. We are a puzzle family. And so
Hmm.
that's something that we've already just cracked back open. Our church library actually
Hmm.
has a huge puzzles section. So like,
Huh.
well, our church library is actually a fairly legit library since we have an academy that is on campus, like a private school, I guess, a Christian
Yeah.
school on campus at the church. Like the library, it's a fairly legit library. But in the back, they have a whole huge, like, big puzzle section. So we just checked one out last Friday
You
or
mean like
Sunday,
pictures or like
and
building puzzles? That kind of puzzle?
yeah,
Like
like jigsaw puzzles.
okay, so like you're building
Just the
you have a
little
picture
pieces.
and you put the pieces. Okay, I'm trying to figure out like what kind of puzzles you're talking about here.
Not like Sudoku or
Okay, yeah, it's fine too.
cro crossword puzzles.
Yeah,
No,
I was
yeah, they've got
trying to visualize this.
boxes and boxes of jigsaw puzzles, and, we picked it up, Sunday afternoon, and it was done, like, late Monday. We're already done with it. I'm like, "Darn it, we should have gotten more than one."
That's a great
Um,
idea. Huh.
yeah, but it's something like we sit around the table and, like, we're working on it, we're having conversation, whatever is going on, and occasionally, like, we'll put a movie on in the
Mhm.
background, like a movie we've seen a dozen times. And it's kind of chill, but like it keeps us spending time together, keeps us engaged. We have more opportunity for conversation than we would if we were all in other parts of the house doing our own thing all the time.
Yeah,
Which I think is where a lot of families kind of get into that summer rhythm where it's just like, okay, free range everyone. I'll connect with you again when we take a week to go on a trip. But then other than that, I'll connect with you again come August or September. And it's
yeah,
just kind of everyone's just checked out and gone. And so we're trying to kind of keep away from that. But otherwise, yeah, I mean, we read books together. We'll do like a read aloud time together. So we still do some summer reading. And we keep math active because
yes,
that's one that if you check out for months, like it absolutely leaves your brain easily.
yeah,
And so it's lighter than during the school year, but we keep it at least a couple times a month. We're touching on maths, or sorry, not month, a couple times a week.
a week.
We're still picking up and touching on math. Yeah.
So when do you guys do your read alouds as a family?
Usually at night.
Like, is there
I
a
mean,
set
we're
time that
night
you?
owls.
Okay,
Yeah, well, like my wife will finish work. Some nights she finishes work at 10, and
okay,
those nights we're usually in bed by 11. So we probably don't read those nights, but other nights she
yeah,
finishes work like 8. And so we'll have dinner and then we'll just sit around on the couch and we'll just read together, read a story
yeah.
together.
There's no
So
judgment on your
yeah.
late night owlness. Our family is also a bunch of night owls. We try. Like it's funny. We always try like 9 o'clock. We're gonna start getting the kids ready for bed. It's not until like 11 until we're done with that process sometimes or later. And half the time I'll fall asleep. Like I'll usually sit with my girls in their room until they fall asleep. We'll listen to Joy FM or they'll just go to sleep and they want me in there. It's fine. I'll sit there on my phone and just be present in their room as they're going to sleep. And because they have like twin loft beds. And half the time I'll lean back and I'll lay down on the floor and just fall asleep. And if my wife doesn't wake me up before midnight, I'll be there until like 2 or 3 in the morning. I'll like, oh my back, and I'll get up all stiff and
Oh yeah.
shuffle to the
Uh-huh.
actually the problem is I leave the dishes at night until like the last thing before I go to bed. So then I gotta shuffle downstairs like 3 in the morning, finish dishes, and then go back upstairs and go to sleep. So it can be nighttime can be rough. I asked that
And we don't
because
even realize. I was gonna say we don't even realize that we are night owls. Like it's just our normal until we're at like a friend's house, and it's like 7:30, and they're like, "Okay, kids, start getting ready for bed," and we're like, "Oh, what?" Like, yeah, it's time to wind down, call it a night, and then we feel really weird. We're like, yeah, we're like just now starting dinner at this time at our house.
like when we were on vacation and we were playing that game together, Skull King, late.
Yeah.
That's like normal for us. Like staying up that late and doing that's what we do. That's funny. So our read aloud time, we try to stay in this routine, and there's times that we, depending on our nightly activities, like volleyball, soccer, whatever we're going on, violin, cello, it can adjust this forward or backwards. But at dinner time, right after dinner, Sarah will open a book, and we have these series. I don't know which one we're on now, but they're about people who have gone out and evangelize. I'm probably using the wrong word, not evangelize, but what are they called? Missionaries. They're missionaries, and it's their stories. So we had, and it's usually like late 1800s, early 1900s, mid 1900s. It's like not recent people, and they have these awesome tales, and it's really interesting to learn about them. My kids love them. Like we'll get, usually we're gonna read, and then maybe one of my kids is like, oh, because we wanted to go, he wanted to go play video games or something, right? But by the end of it, they're like, no, read another chapter. So it's like they get into it and they love it. And I love listening, as a family sitting around the table and listening to that. So that's cool. I'm glad you guys do that too. So, man, don't bring the test home. How do you even start that topic? Jimmy, why don't you kick that one off?
Well, yeah, I mean, structure is important. I mean, you gotta have the structure, and it's not about like the grade you're gonna get at the end of the day. Like, we're not huge on. Do you guys do a like a grade card? Do you hand out a grade card?
Oh no, that's amazing sounding. I want to do that now.
No, yeah, okay, we don't.
Oh,
we don't do the grade cards, but
I'm gonna introduce the idea today and see what my wife says.
Okay, the whole ABCs and everything. A minus. Yeah.
I mean, I know some of their assignments they get scored on those. Like they get graded on some of their assignments. Like you got, 10 out of 75 right, you're doing terrible kind of scenario. I remember those conversations.
Yeah. But yeah, it's just about growth is our ultimate goal. Like we just want to see our kids growing, and every day is a new opportunity for tackling something different and stretching their minds a little bit more. So, yeah, I mean, we're not huge on tests, especially at summertime. Like we'll do some light quizzing through the year, but in the summertime, it's different. But
Are you big
we just
test like during the year too, though? Like you just said, light quizzing.
Not really.
Do you have like subject tests in your curriculum you use?
Our co-op that we're a part of has some structure built in, so there's some things that happen at our community days. And so we'll prepare for those, especially once they get to the older grades. There's some like weekly, okay, we're going to do an assessment on what you were supposed to study this last week. And it's up to each family to determine how like hardcore they're going to push that. And the parent is responsible for following through. Like, yeah, you didn't get very much detail on this anatomy drawing that you were supposed to do. Like that's kind of for each home to police. But there's like weekly activity and quizzes, and then each semester there's an actual test. And then for the younger kids, they can do a big, huge memory test at the end of the year. All of the little stuff that they're supposed to work on and kind of memorize throughout the entire year, they can do a huge test at the end of the year and show that they've mastered all of it and they memorized all of the things. And so there's some things like that available. And so we just kind of stick to those. Those work for us, just kind of incorporating those into our regular routine. But we don't write. I don't write a syllabi with an actual sit down Scantron test at the end of the year. I haven't gone to that length. No.
So this opens up a new concept in my brain right now. A dad report card. How would your children grade you? This might be our next segment. Like, I might have to come up with some points here, and we might have a principal for our large community of followers.
Yeah,
this is interesting. Well, more to come on that, guys. This is groundbreaking innovation at its roots, right here, guys. Okay.
the marbles are rolling around in that noggin, huh?
The mice are pushing the marbles off the treadmill. Okay.
There you go.
So tests, quizzes, what can we replace those with? Let's see. In our summer quest to keep our kids from becoming mush heads with no information coming from their skulls, we need to have conversations instead of quizzes. Now this flies directly in the face of what I intend to do with my kids. I intend to make these terrible tests that challenge them. I think that's still needed, okay? But everything doesn't have to be a test. But I know it's just contradictory to what I just said. You can have conversations with people. You can talk to them about, hey, how do you think this engine works? Instead of, here, fill this test out and tell me how much you don't know about this. There's different ways you can approach a subject of teaching and learning. Lots of ways to learn. There's literally whole schools and classes taught on this subject, right? On how to teach somebody. And everyone learns differently. I don't think, Jimmy, are you an expert in teaching people?
No,
and neither am I. So with that being said, we're just going to touch on the high level, so conversations with people instead of quizzing them, observations when you're doing something with your kids. You're seeing them make, let's just use grilled cheese, for example. And you can have a conversation about things making grilled cheese. Like, yes, you turn it over, and that black stuff on there is called carbon because you didn't flip it fast enough. It was on there too long. That's burnt. Okay, it's carbonized, and we can look up and we can go and explore what carbon is after that, and realize that you're a carbon-based life form, and you just go down a rabbit hole and observe the world around you. As well as real world changes, what happens around you. So yeah, that's what you can do instead of quizzing and testing people. You can use natural learning around you as it happens to help them learn. Or you can quiz them and they'll hate you for it. I don't know if there's any kid out there who would be really excited if they woke up on a summer morning and there was a big fat quiz on the table saying, take this before you do anything.
Yeah.
Right? That's literally what half hour power was for me. And that's how I took it initially. I totally see, like, after going through all that, I see the benefit behind it. But at the time, it was not fun because I couldn't watch TV. I didn't have any video games at the time, but I couldn't watch TV, and I had to do something before I could watch TV. So, how do you teach someone without teaching, Jimmy? Let's explore different ways we can do that.
Yeah, I think some of those low pressure ways of being able to incorporate this into your everyday life, and it being easy to navigate as the parent, but still engaging for your kid. I mean, again, that's the key, is just keeping your kids engaged. But finding some sort of project that you're able to work on. I really like your idea of incorporating like simple, how mechanical items work, how engines work, and that sort of stuff. Like, those are some real world knowledge-based skills and information that can be important. So if you've got a project around the house, helping them be able to plug in and learn with you, whether they're holding a power tool, is up to you to determine if they're ready for that. But yeah, if you got to replace a light fixture, like, okay, come with me. I'm going to show you. We're gonna turn off the breaker box, and we're going to go through, and this is why this is important. Like, start talking through some of those steps, what it means, why you have to do those things, and that sort of stuff. Like, those are still learning opportunities, and you can break out some science information or something like that.
And we have a
But
whole
keeping it,
segment like we did a couple weeks ago. Remember that, about like your expectations as a dad trying to teach your kid things. I want to encourage people to go find that video. Maybe I'll link it in the description of this one once it goes live. Once we finish, but it's important to keep in mind while you're going through those things that Jimmy just said, of like trying to teach your kid something and explore what it looks like to replace a light bulb with your kid.
yeah.
You make sure your expectations are curbed correctly, because if you go into it with the wrong heart, you can really end up killing the situation, and they'll learn something you don't want them to learn, like how impatient dad is or how mean dad can be. You need them to learn the opposite, like how much dad's teaching, even if they're not paying attention, they're still learning.
Well,
So
it's like we even just a couple weeks ago, I was remulching a bedded area in our front yard that has to get done kind of every year. And it's one of those, like, I either need to, or in the back of my mind, it feels like I can do it really, really quick on my own. Like, just grab the mulch bags, rip them open, spread it out, I'm done. And my tendency naturally is to lean that direction. Like, I just want to get it done. I want to move on with other things. And so I'm just going to get it done quick. But I also want my kids to learn responsibility. I want them engaged, and I want to spend time with them. And so having them come out and having them grab the rakes, and now they didn't care. Well, actually, my oldest, she helped unload the back of the car this year. And those are some pretty heavy bags of mulch for for someone her size. But yeah, I mean, drag everything out of the car, get the rakes, and I ripped them open and spilled everything out, but they spread everything around. And I mean, it seems like such a small, trivial story, but getting them out and letting them get their hands dirty, it was great getting to spend that time together, just the three of us. Like, I really enjoyed that.
Absolutely. I bet you it would have gone a lot differently if you were impatient and you were bustling around and you were sighing or saying, "No, you're not doing it right. Let me do it," and pushing it all the way. Like, it takes a mindful approach to doing those tasks with your children to make sure that it doesn't turn into a negative experience. So, other things, like just simple things around your house, like we were mentioning, baking can relate to math. You have different measurements you're doing. You're adding, subtracting. If you want to really, spice up your life and make things harder for yourself, try doubling a recipe of cookies with your kids and see how well that goes. Do the math with them, and they'll learn real fast. Like, you'll entice them with cookies, and then you'll smash their spirits with math while they're saying, "Okay, well,
That's right.
we have 1/8 a cup of this. What's that times 2? Go ahead." It's a trap, and they'll realize what you did real fast. Yard work, like you said,
Exactly.
yard work is science. Let's lift this wheelbarrow. You have a fulcrum and a lever. Let's learn about how plants grow. Let's just comments you make and how you explain things as a dad, or a little. It helps your kids, and they'll pick up on these things. I remember learning so much from my dad just hanging out with him and being around, and he says things. Now, there's a time in life when you realize that your dad might not know every single little thing in the world, and that's fine. If you don't know things and you want to be this influence for your kids, learn them. Take the time to read about it and update yourself on things, and then tell your kids about it. And if they have questions, explore the answers together. Show them how to look things up. It's everything in life is a lesson if you approach it that way. If you don't, and you're just like, I don't know, or go look it up. It doesn't help your kids learn, and it's not being present with them. So fixing things is engineering, 101,
Yeah.
Let's see. Like family discussion, we talked about this briefly already. Get a book, read together, listen to together. Maybe if there's a book or a movie you want to watch as a family, is there a book that goes with it? Read the book as a family first, and then make it a whole experience of, like, we read this book together as a family, and then we'll watch the movies. And we did that with Harry Potter. That was great. We read all the Harry Potter books in order, and as we went along, we watched the corresponding movie. It was really fun. I tried the same thing with Lord of the Rings, but those are a little different.
That's a different experience.
It's a different experience.
Well, we just had fun on just Monday. There was a new one of our favorite YouTube channels is Smarter Every Day with Destin, the stuff that he does. For those who don't know, like he's a former rocket scientist by trade, I think is how you would describe him, but he's super down to earth, really cool YouTube channel. And it's kind of once a month he puts a video out, just kind of whatever he's exploring at the moment. But his video that came out this last week is kind of focused on manufacturing in America, and he just gave himself a personal goal. He wanted to manufacture something new, but he wanted everything to be completely 100% sourced only in America. And he kind of chronicled this whole thing, his whole experience and his whole journey and everything. And it was straight up hard. I mean, he even had one part where there was one piece of what they're working on building that he was told, like, yeah, this is where it's sourced from. This is where we got it. This is, where it's from and everything. And it gets delivered. It's in the warehouse and they go and look at the boxes and nope, all the boxes are actually from China. And he was just getting so frustrated. He's like, I can't believe how hard this actually is. But it opened up a lot of great opportunities that, for me, it was a time I sit down with my girls and we watch it together. And it's not hey, here's my favorite channel, you guys go just watch whatever and then on with your day. Like, we hit that pause button a good dozen times at least, and I'm known for my tangents. Like something will spark in my brain, like I know, something will just come to mind. I'm like, oh hey, and then we'll just start having a conversation about whatever came to mind. And my girls love doing that with me. We'll just sit down and we'll watch something we wouldn't have these conversations if we weren't watching this channel or something. Like, these things just aren't part of our natural life routine, but it opens up new avenues for conversation and learning, going into new information. And I mean, like you said, find a book or a movie, but there's some other really entertaining things that are even another layer more educational as well too.
Yeah, and I actually tried to push a concept of this on my kids a while ago, and I might re-engage with this again. But I really like the series Dirty Jobs. I love watching it, and it shows all these different jobs out there and how they're done. It takes me back. Remember reading Rainbow and those things? They used to have like, there's, you go into someone's career field or some of this, laugh at this one. Some of the Sesame Street specials, like about people's jobs, they'd have little blurbs about how this works or how that works. And it's like, that's really cool. Or how it's made, that TV series. So how it's made, Dirty Jobs, and then Mythbusters are all series that I have kind of tried to sprinkle into my kids over the years, and some of them have stuck, some of the topics have stuck, and I might try to re-engage with that this summer. That's a good idea, Josh. Thanks for reminding me of that, Jimmy. Yeah, I loved Dustin's episodes on going into the Navy's nuclear submarine. You seen that one?
Oh, that was a good series.
Yeah,
that was
he
cool.
goes through and he like flies up to, I don't know if it's the Arctic or Antarctica or wherever he was, but he literally gets a helicopter, is on the ice, and a submarine's popped up through the center of the ice, and he climbs up and he goes under and goes on like a mission with them someplace. And he's in the submarine. He can't go to certain parts of it, and he's learning about all the different systems, how they cook, what the schedules are, how the oxygen scrubbers work, the basics with sonar, all sorts of things in the sub. I was like, this is really neat. So, but that's like
how
another
it punches through the ice. Like, that was a cool one.
But then you see that what is that, Progressive or State Farm commercial? It's like how to not become your dad or something like that, or when you start becoming your parents. And one of them was like watching movies about submarines, and I'm like, that's me. I love movies about submarines.
That was always my dad and I. That was any submarine movie that came out. Like, it was that and any Star Trek movie. Like, he and I would go. Like, we had to go see this. It's almost the same thing.
I grew up on my dad's lap eating like peanuts in the shell. We have 2 bowls, one with the peanuts and one with the shells, and we eating them. I'd watch Star Trek Next Generations with him late at night, and then we watched it was Star Trek, and then it was Three Stooges. It was late at night, like channel 11 or something. Yeah. Anyways,
Nice.
Speaking of tangents,
Anyways.
right?
Exactly.
Yeah. So yeah. Ooh, this is a good
I
one,
think that
Jimmy.
final avenue for learning. Yeah.
Yeah. Learning by serving. And this one actually, when I was writing this up, this hit me fresh because yesterday my wife and I did something that we have not done ever, and it was terrifying for me, and I'm so glad we did it. But we went out with our church. We just had a VBS before last week, like you just mentioned. But last night was our grow ministry at our church where they go out and they follow up with the kids who made a decision during VBS week and want to know more about God. Um, this night was going out to their houses and actually giving them a welcome packet and talking with them. And my wife brought this up to me early in the afternoon, and I was terrified when she brought this up. I was like, I really hope we don't do this because this is really scary. You know, it's just really hard to go door to door people, which is ironic because that's exactly how we got in this church in the first place. Is from someone from this ministry coming to our doorstep at the right time when we were looking for someplace else potentially. They're like, "Do you guys currently have a church?" And I'm like, "We do, but I want to talk to you." You know, it was that engagement. That ministry itself is how we got into this current church, which is great. We love our current church. But anyways, so last night we went out and we had two different packets, and we went and talked to an individual, a little girl who made a decision to follow Christ, and it wasn't like the greatest story. I wish it was like the entire family falls to their knees while we're there, and we have them all ask Jesus into their heart. Because as we're pulling into the subdivision, we look on the back of the card, and it says, "My family is Catholic, and I want to be baptized the way you guys are." And it's like, oh, this would be a fun conversation.
Some interesting. Yeah, you're going into an interesting situation there. Yeah.
Yeah, so we were. I was starting to get even more worked up and terrified, you know. And my wife handled it so great. Like she's really good talking to people. And there's a mom with a little baby she was holding, and it was cute. And you know, right off the bat, the mom was like, "We're Catholic, and we know you're Baptist. And that's fine. And we just know this guy who invited us to VBS because we don't have any of these programs out where we live, and our kids really love them." So yeah, it was a really good conversation. She kind of diffused any kind of ability off the bat for us to evangelize to them. Plus, they're a good 25 minutes from our church, so they're not exactly close. But anyways, it was a really good experience. Like I've never done it before. It's always been one of those scary checkmark things. I know it's coming, but I haven't done yet, and I just did that. And so, all that being said, this summer, volunteer at your church, do something with your kids, you know, or volunteer at a local organization. Get your kids out there with you. It was great. My wife and I did that last night by ourselves because we didn't know what to expect. But we're definitely going to take our kids in the future. It'd be kind of interesting how many kids we can take because it'd be weird rolling up to someone's house in the door, all six of us just like piling out of the car and running up to the door. They're like, "What's happening?" But it's a really neat experience, and I really encourage anybody else out there to go and try something like that.
I think for both of us, our oldest kids, this was the first year that they weren't participants of VBS, but they got to actually be part of the serving team, right?
Yes. Yeah, I actually have a section
Yeah.
here. You can get into that now, actually.
I'll just
Share
skip right ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, it's you know, whatever. Who cares about a flow or a process here? So, maybe I'll let you go first because I'll talk too much. Did you have any moments where this year your kids stepped up and surprised you at all with
Over the whole
VBS?
year? Or with VBS?
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's focus on
Yeah.
VBS or serving.
Yeah, so our oldest got to jump in and be part of. They had like a skit team that kicked off the night, and she had a handful of lines that she had to memorize, and man, she committed to putting those to memory like the day that they gave the script out. She just immediately like, I'm gonna know every single line, I'm gonna get this. And like she had it. Like she
Nice.
it was her first year, so she didn't have the most lines, because it's the
Mhm.
sort of thing, they want to see what she's capable of,
Yeah.
before they give her like the whole thing.
They don't
But
want deer in the headlights
no,
whenever yeah.
right, yeah. She did awesome. She did super, super good. And then once the skits were done, then she went back and helped with the craft room for the kindergarten class. And they
Ooh,
cycled kids through, like every half hour was like a new group of kids coming in and doing the crafts.
that's where I
And
first
she had
served.
so much.
The first VBS,
Yeah.
I asked to be on snacks, and they looked at me and said, "No way, you're not gonna make any money
Because
doing
then the
this.
kids won't get any.
Yeah, the kids won't get any food." So they put me in craft, and I was like, "Craft? What's this?" So I met some of the greatest people ever, and she probably worked with a lot of people that I worked with them because they always do crafts. But yeah, it was a little kindergarten and first grade area, and they did crafts. It was so fun. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. You brought your 3D printer and like, okay,
No,
kids.
no, we made all sorts of
No.
fun little things. Yeah. It was interesting. Yeah, cut the paper out for some of the kids that they can't really cut really well, and
Yeah.
don't glue your
But
face to the
the
wall, Jimmy.
great outcome at the very, very end was just like when the week ended and she was just already saying, I can't wait to serve again next year. And are there more things I can be doing now? Like,
Yeah,
to already see her asking that sort of question, like that's exciting. So we're digging in and looking for that sort of stuff now.
mission accomplished, right? That's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and similar experience. My son, my oldest son, he aged out of being in a VBS program, and now our youth, like your daughter, uh, they don't have an actual VBS program, so they're expected to volunteer and help at the VBS with the little kids. So my son volunteered. He was super excited about it, and it did make me surprised because I didn't think he'd be that into this, but he was really into it, and he got put on the recreation team.
Uh-huh.
So he was involved with a little, the games that they did each night, and he had a blast. He was all excited. He ran off to his area. He had his he had a good time, and he's looking forward to doing it again next year. Like he really enjoyed it. He had a couple of friends that he was doing it with, and our church does a great job at organizing this stuff and keeping people active. As long as you're willing to serve, they have something for you to do. So he did that. I will say something that surprised me. We have like a fifth and sixth grade program, and it only went Monday through Thursday because we have like VBS up till fourth grade, and fourth grade is the last year for VBS. Then you have fifth and sixth graders, and we have a fifth and sixth, we call it Life 56 program before they go into youth group. Youth group is what my oldest son's in. Well, my daughters are in this 56 program, and they ended on Thursday, so they had Friday. They had nothing to do for VBS, so I came back up to the church and I helped volunteer at VBS on Friday, and I was in recreation as well, and like a little bit of the older kids. My older son had some of the younger kids, but one of my daughters came with me, and this surprised me. Like I don't know why she came with me. Like her sister didn't want to come, so she didn't come. But uh, this daughter came recreation. She as soon as she saw little kids coming up and we were playing games, her eyes lit up. She was like, "They're so cute," and she had the best time. She was really into it. And by the end of by the end of that day, or just one night, she was telling me she can't wait for next year. She's gonna volunteer this and that, and she's like really excited about it. She came back home telling her
Yeah.
sister about it. Her sister's excited about it now, and it's like it's really cool to see that happen. So that surprised me. I didn't think she'd be that into it. I thought
Yeah.
she'd be kind of a drag and like, oh, this is dumb, but I don't know. I misjudged her.
No, that's good. And those are those opportunities you seek out and then try to foster, because
Yeah.
it can be difficult sometimes. So that's awesome. Glad to hear that.
So somehow I missed when my hook I had before. I missed it. I was gonna put something out my half hour power, and we had to do an activity. I'm just gonna speak to that really fast. Um, I don't know where it happened. Maybe it's in a different segment we're gonna do someplace else, but whatever. My dad had these little activities to keep us engaged and help us present things and work on our presentation skills. So one of the tasks was to find a household product and then take this video camera that he has, learn how to use the video camera, and make a commercial for the product that you find. So we had to do this whole thing. We had to write a script up, we had to present, use the video camera, and then we had to show it to our parents later on in the evening. That was the task, right? So I remember I got a bottle of Windex and I crossed it off and made it say Wind Duck. And then I presented a new product, Wind Duck Cleaner, and I had a whole presentation I did. And yeah, so that was a good memory for me. I always remember that, and I want to incorporate things like that into my kids this summer as well, having them do something to, learn a skill and get more comfortable with presenting to people. Because you know what? Several years later, probably 5 years ago, when I was at this company downtown St. Louis, they had an HR exercise for new hires, and we had to present a product in front of the group so they get to know us. And I actually presented Winduck. I was like, this is perfect. I'm just going to use the same thing. And it was a funny story because I was like, this is easy. I did this, and this is the exact life skill my dad taught me when I was a little kid. It was like present something to a group of people, and it was a little HR exercise to break the ice. But I was like, this is great.
Yeah, I like that. That's good. That's actually a really good idea. I'll have to think about how to incorporate that into our summer routine.
Yeah, get a video camera and whatnot. All right,
Yeah.
so every single week we like to challenge our vast audience with something to do and report back to us. So far to date, no one has reported back to us, but we hope that changes this week. And we want to encourage you to try something new this week. Get out of the routine, get out of the mundane, Monday through Friday, Saturday sleep in, Sunday church, whatever your routine is. Do something different. And this week, we want you to pick a family project, pick something, or active service to the church. And don't make it a lesson. Don't make it you have to do this. Make it a memory. And we want you to make that memory, make that, that project fun and learning and exciting, make that service fun and exciting, a memorable experience, and then report back to us. Go to DadSchoolPodcast.com. We have a contact form on the bottom. Go to all the socials. We're on every single one of them. And if we're not, then go to DadSchoolPodcast.com and tell us which one we're not on, and we'll get on there. We're very, very accommodating people. We want to see you grow in your ministry to your kids. We want to see you become a better dad. You experienced it firsthand. We're going to make a dad report card. There's all these new ideas coming up now, and you're going to experience them firsthand on Dad School Podcast. Okay. So that's your challenge this week. Do a project with your family and come back and report it to us. Any closing thoughts, Jimmy?
We need to file a patent on the dad report card.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. You don't want to have someone take that idea, right?
No, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
all right.
No, just summer is a great time for your routine is changing. But it goes quick. So take advantage while you can.
That's right. So remember to be present, be engaging with your kids, be patient. If you need any help or support, reach out to your friends, family, us. We'll be glad to help you. But until next time, see you later. Thanks.
Yeah.